Hey guys, welcome back to Man Time. Today's episode is going to be how to extend a drive shaft. So a while back I bought a post hole digger and the guy selling it couldn't find the drive shaft, or at least not the right one, but this one was laying around, and the problem is it's not long enough to work when it's actually hooked up to the tractor, right? It's just not long enough, and it just barely mates up. And this one is a little bit different. It's got kind of a lemon shape to it, so I'm going to have to use this, and what I'm going to end up doing is just cutting it, adding a chunk of what's called DOM tubing, drawn over mandrel, and that's just going to go right in the middle here. Because on the inside of the cast piece here, it's got that same lemon shape to it. So I wouldn't be able to do anything with the portion that's inside of this cast piece. So we'll just hack it off somewhere in here and put a piece of DOM tubing in there and extend it out. And I want to extend it about half of its current length. So that way when it's actually in operation, it's about halfway engaged. I might go a little bit further. But yeah, that's going to be the episode today. Welcome to Man Time. Alright, here we go. So I'm not going to really use any special tools. Really don't need to. So we'll kind of do it as the layperson would do it. All you got's a 4.5-inch angle grinder. I do have one of these nice Lennox metal blades on there. That's saved some cost on some of these grinding discs. But we'll just hack it off here, take some measurements on it, and then cut our DOM tubing, and then just get it flat on the bench here and weld it back together. Alright, we're getting ready to put some welds on here, and this is one kind of tricky part because you've got your flat surface here and you've got different diameters. And so if I were just to lay this flat and lay this flat and weld it up, it would be off to one side, the side closest to the bench top here. So what I want to do is measure the distance from here to here, and then put a shim underneath of this that's half of that distance. So let's see what we got here. Alright, so here's a little bit better look at that gap, and if we were to weld that just like that, yeah, you'd have flush on one side and then a gap on the other side. So it's thicker than this, so maybe somewhere's in there, and so this is almost 0.2. Right here I've got a sheet of brass 0.1 thick without the plastic on it. So if I stick this on the bench and have that like that, There we go. That should give us a nice, evenly spaced, centered now drive shaft. Alright, now we've got it centered top to bottom. We need to center it side to side, and it's got those little lemon nubs on it or whatever. So it should be pretty easy just to kind of get that centered up in there with about an equal gap showing on either side of it there. So that should work. And then we want to just look down and make sure that it's pretty straight. It's going to have U-joints on either end of it. So it's not going to worry too much about wobbling around a little bit. And the tolerance of that little lemon shape that connects together isn't very closely toleranced either. So don't get too concerned about how much it's going to be wobbling around, at least for this application. And even on a four-wheel drive or something that's going to be an off-road type vehicle. Alright, let's weld it up. What we're going to do is just put some tack welds on it, tack weld it maybe here and here, and then flip it over and double check it. That looks pretty good there. I got a couple tack welds on it, and if you look just kind of straight down the barrel of it, it appears to be pretty good and straight all the way through there. So I am going to call that good, and I'm going to weld it up. Alright, this next step might prove a little bit more difficult, because what I've got to do here is have this at the bench top level, and then have that raised up on this brass. So I'm going to use a C-clamp right here and clamp that down. Well, here's the drive shaft all welded up, and I'm pretty pleased with that. We'll take a look down the barrel of it here in a second, right at the camera, and just kind of see how straight it is. But I think that's going to work out just fine. And I've repaired drive shafts like this on my Jeep CJ5, and taken it off-road, fully locked. Lots of horsepower, all four tires spinning, and this assembly here isn't going to break with just being welded like that. The important part that you want to note is you do absolutely need to use DOM type of tubing. So DOM is drawn over manual. It's a seamless tube. So make sure you get your welds completely filled in. Use that DOM tubing, and you'll be all set there with some longer drive shaft after you get that lift kit or whatever you're working on. Alright guys, that is going to do it for today on Man Time, but we got our drive shaft extended, and I don't know if you can see, but I think we did a pretty good job. I feel like it's lined up pretty darn close to center, and we'll just get a look down at it and seeing how straight we are. That is going to be straight enough for a post hole digger, 3-point post hole digger for sure, and probably even for a drive shaft for an off-road vehicle. One thing that was hard to do there, because it's got that kind of lemon shape to it, it was hard to center it between those, so it might be a little off there. But I'm going to put it on the vehicle. We'll dig some post holes with it. We'll check it out and just make sure that it's going to work for what it's made for, and that's the important part. But if you're working with two cylindrical surfaces rather than this lemon shape, what I did there to get it off of the bench the right amount, because chances are you aren't going to find the exact same diameter. Pretty good chances. But find something close, you know, with this, like I said, DOM tubing, and then just make sure to get it centered within the other tube. But yeah, I'm happy with it. Happy I get to wear these goofy welding hats too, every chance I get. Anyways, thanks for joining me today on Man Time, guys. Get out there, have you some man time too.